Yeah, it's a great story, actually. I've been meditating myself for over 40 years and accrued some wonderful benefits doing the practice. About 14, 15 years ago, I decided to become a teacher of TM, and that led me to the UAE. I teach with Dr. Maha Emma, who's the National Director of Transcendental Meditation in the Emirates. And together we worked in the centre, and she set the centre up. I came and joined her here. And we've been offering TM since to the population in the Emirates. And what I'd like people to understand at the very beginning is that TM is a remarkably beneficial technique for everyone to practice. If you're not practicing TM, you're not making the best use of your mind. You're not replenishing your energy levels. You're not creating the emotional balance that you want. We live in a stress epidemic with so many demands placed on us every day in our jobs, our family situations, in our relationships. And TM helps you to stay ahead of the curve. When you practice TM, which you do for 20 minutes twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening, what you're doing is you're allowing your mind to settle into this wonderful calm. Now, we all have this calm, but we spend a lot of our time up in a very active band of the mind. Modern psychology tells us that that narrow bandwidth of conscious awareness may be as narrow as 10%. Now, what does that mean? That means that we're 90% unpotentialized. And what Transcendental Meditation helps us to do is to transcend, which means go beyond. That's the actual meaning of the word. Go beyond and experience the mind at these deeper, more expanded, more potentialized levels. And that allows creativity to be engaged. So we connect with creativity. We connect with our deeper values of intuition. Our intelligence becomes more readily available to us. And this is all backed up by the scientific research on TM. When you practice TM and you allow the mind to settle down to these very, very fine levels, the brain starts to exhibit what we call EEG coherence. Now, what that means is that the brain starts working as a unit. Okay, and that's really important. If you imagine the brain to be like a company with different departments, then if that company is going to work effectively, essentially there needs to be communication between the different departments. They need to share resources, they need to work together, they need to have a shared identity. They need to know what each part is doing so that the productivity of the whole is realized. Now, this is what your brain is like. Your brain is a composite of different values of cognitive function. You have rationality, you have creativity, you have memory, you have instinct, you have emotions. Now, all of these things are really valuable, but when we're stressed, there's a disconnect. And these things operate in a disparate way, so they're not connected. Now, what TM does is help to re-establish that connection. When you practice TM, over time, you start to find that the brain just starts working more at optimal levels. So that means that you come to a task, suddenly your problem solving is better. You have an issue to do with something at work in your personal life, you find more creative solutions to that problem. Your memory is better, you have better recall, imagination is strong, you feel stable and grounded. And that means that everything you do in your life, because the brain is used in everything that you do, that means that you find that your brain is able to offer you the kind of support that you want it to be able to offer you. And that means productivity and success increases. So when we look at the relationship between Transcendental Meditation and success, we see that Transcendental Meditation is a key component to success. And just to go back to my earlier point, if you're not practicing TM, you're just not making enough of that potential. You're not using as much of that potential as you would do. And you're not using your brain in the way that it can work. And the brain has fabulous computational skill. It has amazing capability to be able to solve problems, to find creative solutions to different situations, But if your brain isn't working optimally, then you're just not functioning at that sort of higher level.
And how does it actually work? Because there's a lot of meditations around these days, lots of different techniques, and if you include religions in there, there's even more.
Yeah.
So how does TM do what you just described? And is it different? How is it different from other types of meditation? I know it might be tricky to answer because there's so many, but can you highlight some of its unique features that would make it stand out in some way, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good question. Most people look at meditation and see them all as very similar. And that's because there's nothing really to distinguish them. But if you look at the science, and this is where the science really helps us here, what the science has been able to show us is that if you look at the hundreds of meditation techniques that are available in the marketplace, then what you can essentially do is group them into three main categories. You have your techniques, Transcendental Meditation, for example, which is effortless transcending. So this technique is an effortless transcending technique. There are other techniques that are based on concentration or control. Maybe you're given something to focus on. Maybe it's your breathing. Maybe you're given some sort of mantra that you need to repeat or chant. So the idea is that you focus on that. Other sorts of techniques involve more of a sort of dispassionate mindfulness approach. So you might be asked to be mindful of triggers that set off negative emotions, or you might be visualizing how to overcome a problem. Now, the difference between TM and mindfulness or open monitoring types of techniques, which is a kind of broad category for that, and concentration type techniques, is that TM is completely effortless. Now, that requires a bit of unpacking. So I'll just take a few minutes to unpack that. What we mean by effortless is that TM is really unique in the sense that it uses nothing other than the natural tendency of the mind to move in the direction of more fulfillment, more happiness, right? So left to itself, your mind will seek out maximum joy, maximum satisfaction, maximum knowledge. And that doesn't exist outside of the mind. It exists within the mind, okay? Our capacity, our ability to derive greater meaning and greater fulfillment from the world is really dependent on the inner quality of our consciousness, the inner quality of our mind. If our minds are very narrow and restricted, then that is the value that we'll derive from the outside world. We'll get a narrow band of fulfillment, a narrow level of satisfaction, narrow band of happiness. If you expand the conscious capacity of the mind by using the mind's innate ability to seek out more, which is what we do in TM, then suddenly you're able to get more from whatever you're doing in the world. Now, the technique itself involves a very simple process that we teach you during a course, 4-day course, very simple, expertly taught by professional teachers. And during that practice, we teach you a method that allows the mind to find more fulfillment within. Essentially, we just give it we provide a catalyst to trigger the mind's natural response to move in that direction. And this is why we can honestly and very truthfully say, and very accurately say, that TM uses nothing other than the natural tendency of the mind to move into those more satisfying realms of subjective experience. It's just a question of providing a key and allowing the mind to start moving in that direction. And then there's an automaticity about TM. The mind will naturally gravitate to these finer levels. Now, other meditation techniques actually work against that principle. Instead of allowing the mind to move in that natural direction, they give it something to do. They give it something to focus on. So rather than allow the mind to fathom this inner value of consciousness, what we're doing is we're pinpointing attention on something and we're keeping it engaged on that active thinking level, and that stops it transcending. the key essentially is transcending. The great strength of meditation, the great power in transcendental meditation is that we teach a technique for effortless transcending, and that is the main difference.
Okay, so you teach in Dubai.
Yes, I do.
What kind of people come along?
That's a fascinating point. People have a preconception that a certain type of person is motivated to learn TM or meditations in general. Our experience is certainly not that. We teach everybody from all walks of life. So we can be, in any 1 week, we could be teaching bankers and lawyers and housewives and students and service workers. We could be teaching athletes. We could be teaching anybody. And that's great because one of the great strengths of TM is that it doesn't require you to be a particular type of person. We're essentially all the same. You know, we may look differently, we may have different ambitions and different jobs and, you know, different motivations in life, but essentially we all have the same type of brain that works in the same type of way, right? That can move from disorder to order. We have the same type of mind that can be focused and pinpointed and narrow, and its desire to obviously come out of narrowness and into a more expanded level of sort of coherent, integrated, holistic functioning. We're all similar in that respect. So when we teach in Dubai, what we're finding is that people come and they say, wow, this is fantastic. Thank you. I'm able to do this particular task so much better. I'm able to study at school so much better. I'm able to feel more refreshed when I come back from work. I'm able to perform my tasks better. It doesn't matter what your tasks are. It doesn't matter what your lifestyle is like. TM will help you. So in short, I think that message is getting across to everybody in the Emirates, you know, that this is a technique that suits everyone and that you're not weird for practicing this. You know, in fact, you're avant-garde, you're ahead of the game because you're doing something that is working in your best interests.
So that's really interesting that anyone can learn regardless of their age or intelligence or capabilities. Are there any barriers to learning, you know, cultural, religious beliefs, philosophies?
Not at all. And that's really reassuring, I think. If you look at the Emirates is a real hot pot of different cultures. You know, we've got everything here. We've got people from all over the world. We've got different kind of cultures, different religious traditions, and so on. And the good news for those people is that because TM isn't a lifestyle, it's not a set of cultural beliefs, it's not a religion or a set of religious beliefs, then you can confidently come and learn TM, knowing that it will not contradict, get in the way, conflict with anything that you're doing, any lifestyle that you have adopted, any particular worldview that you have, whether that be religious or cultural. It doesn't matter. The important thing to understand is that TM is a technique. So it's a bit like the gym, right? We go to the gym because we want to be physically fit. What we're doing in TM is we're using the inner gym, and we're actually training our minds to become more effective. And the great thing about TM is, unlike the gym, where you have to put lots of effort in, the way to make the mind more effective is to minimize its activity and give it deep rest and allow it at the same time to communicate and be stimulated by the underlying intelligence and creativity at the base of the mind, what we call in TM pure consciousness.
And how long does it take to start working? Are you going to have to practice this for a long time to see any benefits?
It's a good question. Certainly you notice things pretty much immediately. I've taught lots of people, and one of the first things that they'll say once you bring them out of their first session of TM during that first day of training is, my goodness, you know, I've tried this meditation, that meditation, this meditation. This is so much easier, right? And I love the fact that I don't have to focus on my breathing. I love the fact that I'm not trying to push away thoughts. I love the fact that I'm not trying to blank in my mind, right? So just from that standpoint alone, the fact that the pressure is off, TM is not a sort of goal-focused meditation. It's very process-driven. So when you practice TM, you don't have to try to tick boxes to get there. So that's the first thing. So I think from that standpoint, you'll notice something pretty much straight away. Now, in terms of noticing kind of the more life-changing benefits, then quite quickly, certainly during the 4 days of a course, for example, people will comment that they're sleeping better for the first time in years. People will talk about, they feel kind of more optimistic, they feel fresher. Life seems to be a bit more kind of like positive for them. Some people find that their creativity is improved even in a short space. People will comment about different things, and this is the thing that they've noticed most strongly. However, if you bring a range of people back who noticed, different types of benefits, and you bring them all back after about a year, then they can really start to kind of draw connections with each other and say, yeah, I get that too. Yeah, I'm getting that as well. Oh, good, you get that too. So over time, you start to notice a more comprehensive nature to the benefits. And of course, the good thing about TM is that the benefits are really cumulative. So if you're noticing a little bit of creativity here, or a bit of positivity or optimism, then that's going to grow in time. So the longer you meditate, doing regular practice twice a day, the more that you'll accrue these cumulative benefits.
That sounds encouraging, I would say. Very encouraging. And you said that you've been meditating 40 years.
Yeah.
Is that right? Is there one key benefit that you could pinpoint that you've got from that practice?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you a bit of background about why I learned TM. Basically, I learned TM when I was young, in my teens, and I really did it for athletic performance. I was an athlete. I wanted to improve my mind-body coordination, my recovery rate, and things like that. So I was looking at it to improve my performance at various sports, and it did do that. But what was wonderful, Mark, is that in the space of about a month, maybe 6 weeks, it woke up my creativity. And that was fascinating to me because I didn't learn TM for that reason, right? But I thought, wow, what's going on? I've got all these creative ideas. I'm thinking really deeply about things. I'm starting to have all kinds of fascinations and curiosities about things that didn't really interest me before. And I was really waking up. And really, to answer your question then, I think if I was to single out one benefit that I look at and think, wow, that's amazing, with my long practice of TM over 40 plus years, I would definitely say that it's made the world such an interesting place. We don't see a lot of the beauty in the world. We don't see a lot of that fascination. Maybe we tend to focus on the negatives. Maybe we only see what's immediately in front of us. With TM, you sort of develop this peripheral type of vision. And what happens is the world just seems like a really amazing place. And that's priceless. It really is. No money can buy that. No book is going to do that. No therapy sessions are going to give you that. This is about internal development. It's about developing your consciousness. It's about waking up your brain. It's about having a mind that is big enough and broad enough and sponge-like enough to absorb all that beautiful thing that you see out there. That it's just waiting there, and it really just it really does sort of authenticate that sort of idea that real happiness is internal. It's to do with what's in here, And if you're really happy in here, you will find joy and satisfaction in the simplest things, right? And that is priceless thing, and that's what I really appreciate it for.
Sold. I'll take it. On that point, if someone wants to learn, how would they go about? Do they need to find out more? How does it work if they want to come on a course?
Yeah, it's a really important point. The first thing that you need to understand is that you need to make sure you're learning transcendental meditation. Okay, there are lots of meditation techniques out there. Some of them have got names that sound like transcendental meditation, like transformational meditation or something like that. So make sure that you're learning the proper thing. And in order to help you with that, certainly make sure that you're learning with a certified teacher. Okay, so if you go to tm.ae, for example, then you will see the teachers there. You will get connected with the Emirates branch of a global organization that is active in over 100 countries. Okay, so that will give you the peace of mind to know that you're learning the real thing. And teachers of TM are properly certified. They're very well trained. We've got lots of experience, and you want to make sure that you take that important step with a properly certified teacher. And you'll find it on, listings of that and how to get in touch with us on our website, tm.ae. Our email address is info@tm.ae. Our telephone number is 05011401117. So if you come through those channels, then you'll avoid going on an unfortunate detour and ending up somewhere else. Which you definitely don't want to do, because TM is the best meditation technique that you can do. The science bears it up. The personal testimonies of people who practice it, who practice other meditation techniques, will attest to that, obviously. So, so make sure you're coming through the right channels, and we'll tell you all about how to take a course of instruction.
And are you able to go more into the structure of a course, how long it takes, and?
Yeah, I can do that. I mean, you're looking at 4 days. You're looking at about 90 minutes per session. And what's important to understand is that when you learn TM, again, another reason for being with a properly certified TM teacher, we provide extensive follow-up for you, right? So we will make sure that all your queries and your questions are addressed. We will check up to see that you're okay. We will make sure that your practice is going smoothly. We're there for you. And that follow-up, by the way, is part of your course fee. It's available across all the countries that TM is available. So that's 100 countries worldwide. If you leave the Emirates and go to the States or go to Europe, then it's a quick phone call, a quick email, and we can connect you with your nearest centre.
You've answered all the questions I've had about Transcendental Meditation in Dubai. Is there anything you think I might have missed that could be useful for our viewers and listeners?
I think that the Emirates is a wonderful place in terms of its creativity. There are people coming from all over the world here to start businesses, to engage with new initiatives. And I think that TM is the ideal thing for Dubai, especially. There are people coming in from Saudi and other places in the wider region to learn Transcendental Meditation, because they understand that, this is a place where things are really happening. Dubai is a place where you can start afresh. Dubai is a place where new opportunities are available to you. You might find that it's an opportunity for you to make a mark in a particular field. And what I would say is, if you're in that situation in Dubai or in the wider region, then please come and learn TM, because this is the number one thing that you should be doing if you want to bring that creativity into your new endeavors. to be able to handle the stress that might come with new demand. It's a place where you can feel remarkably optimistic about your challenges here because you're allowing the mind to get out of that stress barrier and dive deep within. And that is what you absolutely need. So I would just like to say, I'd just like to put that appeal out to everybody here that being in this type of environment where creativity is demanded, take up TM because it is going to help you. It's going to help your health. It's going to help your mental performance. It's going to help your relationships at work with your family. And it's going to do something really special. It's going to give you the opportunity to break away from deadlines, to break away from pressure, and to just release and let go and allow yourself to be saturated in this wonderfully nourishing state of consciousness that lies deep within us at the source of thought. And this is what we do in TM. So please come and take it up. We're here to respond to your inquiries.
Fantastic. I feel very inspired, and I'd like to thank you for coming along this morning, Jed. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mark. It's been a pleasure.